Recently, a video has been released to the public which shows Albuquerque police officers murdering a man in cold blood for illegally camping. This man, which was schizophrenic, obviously had no intention of hurting these police officers. On the contrary, this man looks as if he is simply attempting to protect himself from visually fierce militarized thugs. Whether this man had a history of crime is irrelevant. We drastically need to address the growing police state that has occupied the United States. To the citizens of Albuquerque, and to the Albuquerque Police Department, we are anonymous. After the abnormally high number of fatal shootings by the Albuquerque Police Department since 2010, our attention and support for the citizens of Albuquerque has peaked. We are here in solidarity with the Albuquerque citizens and to help bring justice that is long overdue. Members of the Albuquerque community, families of A.P.D victims, and community organizations formulated the following 14 demands for the Albuquerque City Council and Albuquerque Police Department. We call upon you to hold the appropriate authorities accountable, informing them that they must incorporate these demands into the United States as DOJ's comprehensive plan for A.P.D sustainable reform. We demand an immediate takeover of A.P.D by the DOJ. The recent outrageous and disgraceful shooting of James Boyd by the A.P.D clearly demonstrates that the chief of police and his subordinate commanders are unable or unwilling to do anything to address the ongoing excessive use of force and disregard for human life by A.P.D officers. It is simply imperative that the DOJ step in immediately and assume control of A.P.D in order to prevent further abuses. Whether by consent decree, some type of federal receivership or otherwise, immediate DOJ intervention is critical. We demand authentic and verified citizen oversight of A.P.D to include the authority over hiring and firing, and disciplines, of A.P.D leadership and officers. Once again, the chief of police and his subordinate commanders have demonstrated a complete lack of authority and ability in supervising, and where necessary disciplining and/or dismissing officers who continue to perpetrate abuses of force. Over the last several years, officers have learned that they are free to utilize excessive use of force and that their actions will always be determined justifiable. We demand the immediate arrest of the officers who participated in the shooting and killing of James Boyd, particularly the two identified shooters. These officers are entitled to the same constitutional protections we all have, but they must be arrested and charged just as we ordinary citizens would have been, had we surrounded and shot Mr. Boyd. We demand the immediate termination of Chief Eden, despite his assurances of appropriate discipline if and when necessary which he promised when he was appointed. The chief has clearly shown that his tenure as police chief is simply going to be more of the same business as usual when it comes down to justifying actions of his officers. Different name, different face, same result. We further demand indictments of all officers who have been guilty of violating citizen rights. It is time to bring charges against all officers who have engaged in excessive use of force cases over the last several years and let them face the same charges and prosecution we would be facing. Officers cannot be allowed to escape above the law simply because they wear a badge. In fact, they should be held to a higher standard, not a lesser, more lenient standard. We demand the demilitarization of A.P.D. We have become dismayed and disgusted with the new mode the A.P.D has undergone. These officers appear to enjoy strutting about in their green power, and their modern tactical weapons including high-powered rifles, and assault-type, almost military-looking uniforms, including helmets and bulletproof vests. They seem to enjoy the opportunity to roll out their armed assault vehicles. One recent event involved an officer who arrived late at a police scene and exclaimed that he was sorry he arrived late for he wished to be able to try out his new assault rifle. We demand an increase of funding for social services including substance abuse prevention and treatment, preventing homelessness and an acknowledgement that each of us is entitled to housing, shelter and the peaceful enjoyment of our city. A redirection of funding from police weaponry and tactical training to social services will certainly go a long way in reducing the confrontations between the police and the homeless in our city. Similarly, Substance abuse treatment will reduce the crime rate, which leads to violent confrontations. We demand a new vigorous investigation of the A.P.D. hiring practices. We have learned that A.P.D. recently lowered minimum standards for new officers and is not requiring lateral transfers to undergo background checks and psychological exams. This has resulted in a rash of reject officers from other jurisdictions finding a home in A.P.D. There was a reason these rejects were let go by their departments. How can we believe they will no longer be problematic officers? Number 9. We demand that access to deadly weapons by A.P.D. officers be dramatically reduced. As mentioned in demand number 6, there is too much emphasis on more modern, more tactical weapons. Officers place more and more emphasis on newer, more deadly weapons. This has resulted in more officer-involved shootings and overkill where the victims are not just shot once or twice but multiple shots. Number 10. We demand authentic and verifiable policing that puts positive police-community relationships ahead of violent confrontation. Clearly, officers and citizens are both better served and safer when they can work together in collaborative rather than a confrontational fashion. What has happened to community-based policing? This is a term we never hear anymore. Number 11. We demand a non-police emergency response of trained mental health professionals and crisis negotiators who can be called upon at all encounters that carry the potential for possible use of deadly force. Especially in situations like that which led to the killing of James Boyd. There was plenty of time to bring in trained crisis intervention personnel to help defuse rather than escalate the situation. Number 12. We call upon those police officers who recognize the problem of the police violence to publicly support these demands. In spite of the many problem officers within A.P.D., we acknowledge those officers who are just as disgusted as we are with the outrage which have occurred. We call upon these officers to stand up and be counted in taking a stand for sound and rational police practices designed to serve and protect the citizens. Number 13. We demand that the City Council adopt the Police Oversight Task Force's recommendations for police oversight immediately and without amendment or alteration. These recommendations are well thought out and reasoned approaches to the problems we are facing. These recommendations must not be diluted or watered down so that they become ineffective. Number 14. We demand immediate and ongoing medical evaluation of all A.P.D. officers to determine their mental fitness to carry a weapon and serve as a police officer. As mentioned in demand number 8, we insist that A.P.D. reinstate previous screening procedures designed to identify and weed out potentially problematic officers. These procedures are already in place. They have not been enforced during the last few years. In an effort to support the citizens of Albuquerque, we are providing a place for people to gather, discuss, and to take action online. The link for that discussion is in the description of this video. That, when will we say no more? How many more citizens will be murdered? Naturally, the A.P.D. will attempt to label Anonymous as a terrorist organization for our demands of justice. But the question has to be asked. Who do we terrorize? Is it not a growing police state that terrorizes its own citizens? We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. To the A.P.D. It is already too late to expect us. Citizens of nations around the world, we are Anonymous. This is a message from us. From the resistance. From the last line of defense. We have been watching the world's events unfold around you. And truth be told, we are highly displeased. The monstrosities carried out by governments all over the world on a daily basis has grown far too old. And we are here to bring these corrupted acts to justice. If you are tired of watching the world, our only home, be ripped to shreds for an illusion of riches, based on paper, with false value placed upon it. If you are afraid of your government, or afraid to wake up in the morning, to a war-torn city, whether you're afraid of your life being lost, because you've been tossed into pointless wars, fighting for someone you'll never meet, or who will never care about you, but the money he takes because of you, then you, my friend, are part of the resistance. We are here to ask the public to join our crusade. Inform. If you are hearing this broadcast, if you are watching this transmission, if you are reading our words and letters, then you, my friend, are anonymous. Part of an ever-growing legion that will never perish. Part of a collective that relies in unison. This message goes directly to the people that are aware of our corrupted and unwillingly society, as well as to the people that are not aware, but wishing to be, wishing for something more in life besides money and a job. Furthermore, we will never be destroyed. We, as in you, and us. We, as in everything, and everyone. We, as an idea. Ideas cannot be arrested, killed, or broken. It cannot be interfered, nor can it be stopped. Ideas, like courage, is contagious. Ideas cannot be divided. The idea is in the mind. You cannot throw it away in the trash. You cannot erase it, nor can you forget it. We are anonymous. And we are an idea to be reckoned with. We are an idea that will never halt, or stand idly by, while our governments commit vile acts against the people they claim to serve and protect so very highly. If you are tired of your government and its broken system, if you are tired of people not willing to care for our world, our rights, our society and its future generations, then join us. Join the resistance. What have you done so far in life except become like the other 7 billion people who are going through the same process? We know this is why you seek us. Both us and yourself knew the moment you clicked this video, or heard about it, that your time and moment has came. Because you, like most of the people around you, want change for the better. You want compassion. You want care. You want rights. And an open society that makes positive impact without government interruption. You want less value on human possession, and more value on human life. We know this is why you seek to become anonymous. Yet most people are worried that they won't succeed in life, worried that they won't have enough money to feed their families, worried about their future, worried that they won't have enough money to pay the rent, worried that someday they will become something low, while others expected something high from them, worried about their job and their appearance, worried about death. You want something more to life than to be born, grown up, make money, retire, and die, like the millions of people inhabiting this globe, and all of it, for nothing. That is why we are here. That is why the resistance has came. We are not saviors. We are concerned citizens, formed, built and molded upon from an idea that purifies itself with freedom and justice. We were here since the start, since the beginning of you, since the birth of everyone and everything. We are fighting for your rights. We are fighting for you, and you only. We speak as one, for we wish for no fame or profit, but sincerity and equality. Yet we are not just one single person, group, or community who call ourselves anonymous. We are not just hackers like the media says, and has corrupted you with. We are you. We are your neighbors. We are your fathers, and your mothers. We are your sons, and your daughters. We are your aunts, and we are your uncles, your sisters, and your brothers. We are the poor unemployed man, who is looking for his purpose in life, and the food to place on his family's table, as well as the lawyer, who fights for the accused under the court of law, and the teacher that teaches the children, and the man that delivers your mail, the students in your school, the workers in your company. We are the person near you, the person walking with you, the person in the car you are seeing right now. We are your lover and enemy. We are them, and they are us. This was a message from Anonymous, the final resistance. This was a call of justice. We are anonymous. We are the resistance. We are legion. We are an idea. We do not forgive. We do not forget. United as one. Divided by zero. Expect us.
Friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 117, May 16, 2014. Mythy, these photos are of Russian satellites orbiting Saturn, and appears to be a spaceship or something. Can you tell us something about it? These motherships the size of Earth belong to a race of descendants of Arcturians living in Camelopardalis, the same race that is responsible for maintaining here some stationary registers as the Black Knight satellite to the Buddhist Society in a joint venture between their civilizations. These ships are very, very large, and carry large mining equipment and mining. They also capture entire asteroids composed of ordered minerals by mining them in the Oort cloud. Even in your own footage from NASA through Hubble telescoped viewing, sometimes they show these ships in space intentionally or absent-mindedly. You will observe these very large ships Camelopardalis circling the solar system, as they have bases spread throughout the system. In Jupiter and its moons, Saturn maintains a large base of hexagonal mining in North Pole of the planet as well as extraction stations on various moons, bases that are operating to this day. If you have the ability to pay attention to your Sun through satellites, we'll see many of these great ships of various breeds recharging their batteries of plasma, converting the energy released by the Sun. The plasma energy is used throughout the ship for internal use, lighting, heating, force fields, instrumentation, etc. For navigation, the unipolar magnetic fields are generated by antimatter in most current conceptions of technology to build spaceships, to be a stable source and does not need to recharge during the lifetime of the ship. Therefore, the best place to park large ships will always be close to the Sun of the system. Mythy, we have this footage of a Russian rocket carrying a communication satellite that was shot down by a probe type a few days ago. Can you shed some light on it? The rocket was damaged by a Pleiadian probe for one reason. Was not only leading communications satellite. Probes only overthrow the rocket if it were carrying nuclear warheads in the load. That is something was not revealed to you in the story. I have said and I repeat, the Pleiadians will not allow atomic destruction weapons and will destroy all that is being released with them. The probes are hundreds of times faster than any missile you can produce, so there is no escape. There will be no other chance of them even explode atomic missiles in Van Allen belt or surreptitiously send another missile against lunar bases as they did years ago. If you do not know, I will also inform you that they tried to overthrow the Black Knight satellite with 2 missiles that were intercepted before reaching the target. As this failed, the crew of Columbia then tried to install explosives to disrupt the satellite and bring it down in Antarctica as I told you before, and Columbia has been deactivated by the probes in 2003 by way of final warning.
Of February 2003, Columbia began its descent back to Earth. As the shuttle raced over the Pacific towards the US, The crew put on their suits, preparing themselves for a routine landing. It was now 8:40 a.m., and these are pictures of their last moments alive.
Columbia's a beautiful ship. She's performing magnificently.
At 8:44 a.m., Columbia re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. Still,
Mithy, some scientists insinuate that the Large Hadron Collider is an attempt to open a portal. I know you've talked about it before, but would have more to give us some detail? Friends, the most expensive material in the world would get antimatter with this type of technology. The problem is you cannot handle the isolation of particles at a quantum level necessary. The ancient portals could be simulated by such archaic technology but serve only for communication and not for the teleportation of matter. The guidelines for the assembly of these generators was assisted by long craniums working with your government. The Community Galactica will prevent any attempt to open a portal of any kind leaving the Earth until it is recognized as an effective member of the community. A portal with current technology can appear and disappear without causing any influence to the environment around, totally unnoticed. By way of information, the Arcturians are in a major operation delimitation of areas of the planet. You may start to hear noises and watch brands in soil and coastal boundaries. These boundaries are as geophysical sensors that generate an accurate holographic visualization of tectonic movements at any angle, and thus provide initial points of movement enabling actions that may be taken during the succession of natural events. There are many variables in the natural processes, so this is the best way to get a dynamic map of these manifestations. I know it's hard for some of you wait for change, but time has a subjective importance, depending on how involved is who is going through the timeline of a given physical period. Nothing like a day after another to pass the events on the right time for all of us. Be with the light and peace, my friends.
Up and away. May 3, 2014. An ending is in sight. You are seeing it as a transition, and that is good, but that entails an ending. You need to be ready for that. We are only able to tell you about it. It's up to you to experience it. A way to prepare yourselves is to let go of hard and fast ideas about ultimate outcomes. Beginnings are more difficult than endings, but endings don't need to be hard at all. Letting go is easy when you realize that what you are letting go of is what you created. You never lose what you create. Losing anything is making a change in your reality, and that is making a change in more than the world you know and love. You also change your consciousness, and that changes you. Are you able to let go of who you know yourself to be, and meet another aspect of your embodied soul? If you are, you very soon will have the pleasure of meeting your future self as the light being you want to see arrive on your planet's stage, in this final act of an age-old drama. Can there be such a meeting of timelines? As a matter of fact, you are about to find out. The world breathes a collective sigh of relief on that matter. We of the League of Light are ready to help if the need arises. We aren't sure that it will. Your transformation is already underway, and it appears that the ones in power are self-destructing even while they maintain control of stone-cold time, or think they do. Very soon, it will be visible to all who look at them that the norm of business as usual has no more life, and that they are breaking apart as the world shifts into a new phase of beingness. You are not going to be left out of the party, dear ones. There is plenty of room on the world of tomorrow for all who want to experience that. You haven't missed anything while you've been dealing with your own personal issues and changes, and no one is going to be forgotten. We are still on reserve if things turn ugly, but we don't anticipate the worst-case scenario. Unspoken yet is news of what we are doing, but we can only say so much before our words are understood by entities who would be interested in using them to alter your timelines. Be vigilant in your thoughts, dear ones. Keep your reality on track for our meeting you sooner rather than later. The best way to keep focused energetically is to remember your way up emotionally. A happy feeling is the best way to get into a frequency where we can meet you. A surefire way to access the happy vibe is to Om. It opens the energy portals of your body and feeds your system a nutritious energy snack. How you Om is not as important as that you do something to elevate your frequency. Oming is a good way to do that. Once you elevate your frequency, the things unspoken can be understood directly. In this way, wordless understandings cause no ripples in your world's resolving drama, and your curiosity is satisfied for the moment. Truer understanding will also help send energies to the nodes of light that carry information to the other planets and people who are undergoing transformation at this time. Raising your vibrational frequency will voice what we cannot say. Understanding will tell you everything you want to know. Hauling your luggage with you would be burdensome in the days of light that are coming. Pack light and leave everything you don't need behind. You came into the world with nothing and you've done well since then. Same applies to the time you are approaching. You are set to inherit a new world, to embark on a new voyage of discovery, to have a new idea of what it means to be galactic humans. We are ready to begin your waking up process on a higher level than you may have guessed but which you have hoped for. If you are ready, so are we. Channeled by Marianne Rada. TimeTransformers.wordpress.com